Hey everyone, John TB here was good enough to direct me to this video concerning a stay-at-home dad. I'm glad he did because stay-at-home men suffer all the tribulations that women claim they do, but don't, right? Because this guy is dealing with society looking down on him. Women are extolled for being housewives. Men are looked down on. So he has real pressure when he does this. Matter of fact, he says this is his son, right? He says so. Let's see. It would be enjoyable to stay at home.
你也我想这样子吗？Do
you think this is what I want?
你不止丢了工作，
I not only lost my job, but I also lost my dignity. This is how he's talking straight up to his son.
连尊严都没有去了，你知道吗？
Do you understand?
就是说连我儿
It
子也不
means even my son doesn't understand my situation. You know why? Because your son is still a human being, dude. What I say, everybody, children are fully human and adults aren't. Children love dad for being dad, for the person he is. We're human beings before puberty, and then we're knuckle draggers after it. See? Right? So, what's also important here is why, right? They'll say, why did I become a stay-at-home dad? He doesn't understand what's going on. And you'll see what I mean.
不理解我了。我已经做了一个全职的看护和爸爸14年了。我
So he's been doing it for 14 years.
主要的工作就是看着家里的家务事和绝命的一些医药上面的东西要
With his medical care. See, this is the interesting part. You guys should pay attention to this, right?
给他照顾他。人们最不能够理解的就是为什么一个身体健
Why is an able-bodied man, right, would stay at
全的男人会待在家里没有去
home instead of going to work? Well, dude, your wife you saw there is an able-bodied woman. Why wouldn't she go to work, right? And even though you say you're able-bodied, sorry, dude, but your head is too big for your body. There's nothing, you don't have an athletic bone in your body. You know, you're at the low end of the average scale, right?
做工。
It's not like you're a big, burly 200-pound muscle guy.
我就希望觉明可以更加独立，他可以照顾自己。
Yeah, he's saying, oh, he's hoping that his son can become more independent so we can have more time. No, you can have more time. Your wife has time. That's why she's avoiding this, dude. You see, what you guys may not understand is that his son has both physical and mental impairment. And his wife didn't want to deal with that because it was real work.
这样我们就可以更多时间来照顾我们自己。
Not take care of ourselves, you to take care of yourself. Now, look, he has hemophilia B since I was young. That, in other words, this guy has a blood condition. He doesn't clot. So there's this tremendous stress of maybe him banging his knee and just getting a bruise and bleeding out.
就患有血友病，比如说我普通人跌倒擦伤了，他的血可能一下子就会停
His bleeding might stop quickly.
了。但对血友病患者来说，比如我可能会血流不止。
The bleeding may not stop. See, that is an emotional stress that his wife didn't want to deal with, right? So she shoveled it onto her husband, right? Notice the boy is completely embraced about who he is, right? He's completely embraced about who he is as a person.
然后
But the father's the one who has to think, no, this is too much for me, you know?
发现到他有那个发育迟缓。
He has a global developmental delay, so he's mentally impaired too, right?
I am helpful.
Helpful.
You sure? You look closely.
有点安排他去读那个特别学校。再过了几年呢，心理科就说他有高功能的
With high functioning autism. Right. Right. So do you guys understand? Like, he'll try and say this, he's the house husband for pragmatic reasons, right? That his wife makes more money. But this is the real reason, right? The son's a burden. And the wife didn't want to deal with that. It's easier for her, the easier gig is for her to go to work.
自闭症，所以必须有一个人在家里一直看着他。
You need to be home and watching him all the time. They can't take their eyes off him, right? When he was small, right? So it's the harder gig. So women grab the the housewife role when it's the easier gig. And this time it wasn't. So she shuffled it on to her servant. When did you decide to stay at home then? No, she decided.
为什么当年决定要留在家里？
因为我太太薪水比较高，
My wife's salary is higher. See, this is all excuse making. This is all excuse making. No, the job requirement was harder at home. That's why.
就是说选择让他去继续的留在职场
We。chose to let her continue working. No, she chose it.
我们有想过，我没有做工了，我们就
Yeah, there's his older daughter, right? Yeah, of course.
少了一份薪水。到后来，我们觉得说，看着绝命是最重要的了。
We decided that looking after Ming was the most important thing. No, she decided that you looking after Ming was the most important thing. Men in relationships with women have to make these excuses all the time. All the time. Caring for my autistic son. Yep. Now, this is the other thing, because it's also could be a social embarrassment to look after an autistic son because they don't know how to behave, right?
下来呢，有另外一个问题，就是他的那个自闭症的，因为他的一些人与人之
His
间
way of interacting with other people, right? I'm not going to show you this. I'll put the video in the description box. You guys can watch the whole thing if you like. The whole point is I'm just condensing this to the important parts. He would have been an embarrassment. This woman couldn't just take him on as a little boy and have play dates with other kids so she could socialize with other women while the kids played. She couldn't do that. So this is another thing she avoided. She shoveled it on to her husband, right? Now they talk about chronic illness, but this is just talking about how much more difficult it is for them. I'm going to bypass that because it's the gender dynamics that's important. Dad battles depression and poor health, right? This is something that housewives never do. You know why? Because this guy's isolated. There's not a bunch of house husbands for him to talk to, right? And society looks down on him. So for 14 years, that's what he's been dealing with.
在家里，但我并不觉得是
Okay, I'm backing this up because you don't feel to say. Yeah,
别人都说
some
我
people
爸妈没
say
有工作，
my dad being unemployed
是蛮丢脸
is
的，
like
在
shameful
家里
thing to go. So when he's just at home, right? You see, it's such a important role when women are doing it. As soon as a man's doing it, it's a shame, right?
但我并不觉得是
But I don't agree with what they say, right? Look at the poor father looking with his eyes turned up. This boy, like I said, we're human when we're children. He looks at his father as a human being who he loves, and his father's thinking this boy just doesn't understand. He doesn't understand how society views me.
这么一回事。出去买东西或者在家里煮菜，这种我是可以自己独立的。对啊，有东西发生，爸爸啊，救我！但好像打针这
Now he's talking about dad and being helpful, right? And here's the thing. If he talks about becoming independent, if this young fella, Ming, ever becomes truly independent, this house husband role that this guy has will probably go tits up. Who am I kidding? Probably will go tits up. His wife will become resentful because once he's home and it becomes an easy gig, she won't put up with that.
有一些就是准备那些药物，可能就需要爸爸指导。皇上、皇后、
Majesty and your highness,
奴才，请
please enjoy the meal that your servant has prepared. He got it right. That's what this is. He is her servant, just like any other husband.
你们吃饭。
还不知道谁奴才。
Dad, don't even know who's the servant here.
这10多年来，在这个高压环
I've had high stress environment. You see, this is actually a low stress environment for women. But again, when men get in, it's high stress. Why? For one thing, it's high stress because, again, society looks down on them. But also, most children do not have physical and mental impairments. So that's the stress his wife doesn't have to deal with. Her job is less stressful.
境之下，我就有了一些好像高血压啊、
High blood
忧
pressure
郁
and
症的
depression.
发作。近这几年呢，就有这个面部
Has developed facial nerve disorder. Oh, this man is falling apart. You see, he's the true sacrificial parent, right? His time it doesn't let up. Every second that he's been a house husband to this degree, he's always had to worry about the stress of worrying about this boy, what's going to happen to him, and the stress of having society saying you're a piece of garbage because you don't fulfill your gender roles, servant, right? But he's going to come out big after this. And I'm going to say that's going to be a future downfall. Because again, once he gets out of this episode, and he is, his wife will not put up with it.
神经失调，所以现在我需要做的就是把我的健康慢慢找回。只有这样子，我才能够继续去找回我自己的人生或什么。拖
Look what he's doing. He's become a Tai Chi instructor. Do you see any men in this group, right? I don't know if that's a man there or not. All the rest are definitely women. So all these women have free time to come out in the daylight and do Tai Chi. He's the only man.
拖上来，啊，注意啊，不要直接这样翻掌。这个太极拳对我的健康帮助很大，
Tai Chi has been a
未
great
来有可能的
great benefit to my health in the future, if possible.
话呢，我想当一个太极拳的教练。
I'd like to
有
become a Tai Chi instructor. There are 2 benefits now. Listen to
2个好处，第一个就是可以作为一个职业嘛，他的时间可能比较
hours are more flexible. Wow. When the child is old enough, he or she is not a burden. All of a sudden you have these flexible hours that the wife won't have.
灵活，因为大多数我所知道的很多班都是晚上，到时候家里他们都回来了，这样我就可以出去带班。另外一个就是我还能够继续锻炼，来保持我的健康。
打拳一直以来都是
Continue exercise and maintain his health in a way that men who are salary workers can't, right?
他的理
In
想
a way that the average housewife can.
嘛，所以他有这个机会去把这
Now he has the opportunity for his dream to be fulfilled, right? This young fella is when the divorce comes around. This is when your mother is going to have an issue with this guy.
个梦想实现，我就替他蛮开心的。
左脚右左手收，我跟社会有点
I've been quite disconnected from society. See, this is 14 years of isolation. Because unlike the women, see all these women getting together? He doesn't have a bunch of men to get together like this, right?
脱节啦，已经这么多年了，突然间说要代班，要去
Now I have to teach and share knowledge with others.
把你的东西、把你的讯息传递给别人。刚开始有点害怕，不过久了之后，我觉得其实它对我是有好处，因为在跟人
Because when communicating with others,
之间沟通的时候，我的心胸也
I am more free. Exactly. He's getting what his wife wants. She wants to be in the shoes he's in now, right?
比较敞开。最重要就是交了很多新
Most importantly, I've made a lot of new friends. Right. Female friends. They're all women. And his wife's going to be working. And when he starts telling her about his day, how he was in the daylight, doing this relaxing exercise with all his female friends, she's going to become resentful and envious. And that's when the marriage is going to end. That's what these guys, the average married bozo, can't figure it out. He can't see it coming.
朋友。
难道你没有什么话想跟你的爸爸说吗？
是个很伟大的爸爸，
You're selfish.
也是特别的爸爸，不一样的爸爸。你做我的爸爸，我很开心啊，我也很感动你，谢谢。
You can almost get a little teary-eyed listening to this. Thank you for the best to care for us.
就我也不知道照顾我们。
And look at him, he can barely take it. He's saying, oh, this is, I just feel so, he calls it cheesy.
挺肉麻的。
So what's the takeaway from all this? What the takeaway is that the house husband role came along when it's the harder gig, when the personal sacrifices have to be made. Then the wife bailed, right? And now his life is coming back on track. It's going to be better than what his wife is doing. And I predict that the future is going to be bleak for him, because that's when the wife will turn on him. That's when she'll become resentful, because we've already seen this happen, right? Thanks, John. This was definitely worth covering. See you around, everyone.